Alright, so today we're going to talk about buying Discus online. I just purchased some Discus online. I'm going to go through this video and tell you exactly what I got and why I bought them. But the questions we're going to answer are, where are the best places to buy Discus online? And then some of the places I wouldn't buy Discus online. And then finally, what do I look for when I buy Discus in my local fish store? So first we're going to talk about these Discus right here. I'm going to show you on unboxing. They've been in my room for about 3 days now. They've just been getting 50% water changes every day. They're sitting at about 84 degrees, and that's because that's what the breeder had them at. So I'm kind of trying to replicate. Now his pH was a little bit lower than mine, which is fine. I just did the plop and drop, and you'll see that in this video. So how long will I quarantine these fish for? I do a minimum of 30 days up to 90 days. And will I treat these fish because they're eating and they look healthy? Personally, yes, I will, because everything in my room is treated, and the last thing I want to do is cause an issue with my existing fish. So they will get the levamisole treatment, they will get the praziquantel, and then the metro only if there's an issue. So the metronidazole I do not use as a quarantine procedure, but I have it on hand for certain reasons. If a fish stops eating or something like that, then I will go to the metro, and there will be future videos on that too. They're eating real well. They're eating off the bell, and they're eating the freeze-dried Daily Delight and also the chlorella green. Where do I buy my Discus? I bought my Discus from all over the United States, and I used to be a big supporter of Max Discus up north. I haven't bought from him in a long time because I'm kind of going more to the wild strains and the hybrid wilds. Now these are the wild blue and the Coupois Discus. The Coupois is because I have Coupois that I have bred. I want to cross them out with these to keep the bloodlines as pure as possible. So this is my second time buying from this business here, and one thing I have to say about it is excellent customer service, excellent fish, and communication's great. They've run into some problems, and I want to talk about this right here, what happened. So these were packed up and taken to the airport, and then I got an email saying the plane that is going to be delivering your fish has broken down at our airport. I want to talk about customer service first, because at running a business myself, how important it is and why I kind of stick with certain businesses and why I move away from other businesses. He actually got in his car and drove to the airport, picked these fish back up, took them back to his facility, unboxed them, and put them back in his tank because they were going to be delayed for 24 hours. 90% of the people in this business would have just left them at the airport and called and said they're going to be fine, they're going to be in the box for a couple days, you're okay, right? To me, that is pretty normal in this industry. The fact that he went into the airport and picked these up and then got them out of the bags and put them back in his tanks and then rebagged them and sent them says a lot. He could have been very profitable by just letting them sit. Now, the thing is with that is, obviously, he probably might have some deaths because it could have been delayed a couple days. The fact that he did that was huge to me. I've already bought fish from him. The name of the business is Myrtle Discus. What I like about it is the pictures actually represent the fish, okay? He's got good brown fish, and I'm going to show you some other fish that I bought from him previously. They've been through all their quarantines and everything, and they're getting big. One thing I didn't want to do is I like to buy my Discus at 4 inches. Now, being a breeder myself, I know that I can grow out a 3-inch fish, no problem. But as they come in a little bigger, and I always recommend this, is if you're going to have a display tank and you're kind of starting out or you're not really experienced in Discus, buy at least a 4-inch Discus, please. You will have so much better success as far as that fish growing correct in a planted tank or an existing tank. And the Coupois, which was 3.5 inches, that I really wanted because that was a future breeding project. So it was important for me to have this fish, and that's kind of why I got it. And but I could have got the Royal, the Wild Royal, in the 4-inch. But I decided to go with the 3-inch because I didn't want to split them up into 2 different tanks, and I didn't want one out competing the other for food. So that's the reason why I went with the 3-inch fish. I won't have any problem growing them out. They're going to be fine. But it's just much easier if they're a little bigger. And if they're going into an existing tank, I recommend bigger is better. Now you will pay more, but the heartache of having a fish at 3 inches and it not growing correctly can be very aggravating, especially if you are trying to get them into a community tank or a planted tank. So 4 inches would be my recommendation. Always buy 4-inch or bigger. 4-inch is probably the sweet spot because you're not going to pay, you know, hundreds of dollars for a full-grown fish, but you're still going to get a fish that will grow correctly and could compete with other fish, even adults, in your tank. I actually bought these fish. I was not given these fish to make this video. I've done my homework, and there are some places that I would talk about and that I would not recommend. It wasn't so much their fish were bad. Now, here's the problem with a lot of these websites is they put on fish on the picture and they give you the best possible looking fish. So it's very frustrating when you think you're getting one thing and then it comes and then either it's not a good shape or it's not even close to the picture and you're kind of guessing which fish is which, and especially if they're not marking the bags. You know, these are pretty distinct. I can tell these apart, so they weren't marked, but that's fine with these because I can tell the difference. The Koopa are more of a solid fish and the Royals have more of a stripe pattern. Now the Koopa will get a little bit of striping in them, but you can just tell by the coloration basically on these. And I've bought a lot of fish where I've gotten in like 7, 8, 9 fish and not marked, and they're nothing like the picture on the website. Decent shape, but I'm guessing, what is this? Is this fish? Is this? And then the worst part is when you call the person and say, hey, you know what, you sent me this fish, can I send you some pictures and kind of tell me which fish this is? And they kind of respond back to you, you can figure it out. Well, that's not the point. If I'm breeding fish, I need to know what I'm breeding and what I'm crossing and what I need to call those offspring. Now, over time, yes, over 6 months, maybe I can figure out what that fish is close to being, but I'm still guessing, and that's frustrating. So that's the biggest complaint I have with buying fish online. Pictures are usually the perfect fish, and you're not getting that fish when you get them in your tank. One thing I gotta say about Myrtle Discus is the fish represent the pictures. Yeah, there are some really nice pictures on there, but also the fish coming in are pretty high quality. I wanted to do this test, and I probably bought them from 7 different discus breeders around the country, and this is number 1. I'm not going to bag on the other ones because usually their fish are decent. The picture thing is a big thing, but also customer service. So really nice. They're really, really nice. You know, they're only 3 days in, so I don't expect them to be out begging for food like my other fish coming up to the front of the tank, but they're actually doing pretty good. One thing I always do with my discus that I come in is I breed the common bristlenose, the brown bristlenose, and I breed that for discus tanks, and there's one in here because now that they're going to go through their medications and everything, that pleca will get medicated with them, so I don't have any worries about, you know, that fish bringing diseases to these fishes because they will be quarantined and medicated together. Now, does everyone have to medicate their fish when they bring them in? That's your choice. It doesn't matter to me what you do. I get people giving me hate that say, you know, you don't have to do more than 2-week quarantine. I would agree with that. That's definitely a thing. But when you're dealing with expensive stock, where at one point this room was $20,000 worth of fish, I bring in one fish and then I throw it in the tank and it kills everything, and then all of a sudden that disease spreads through my room, that is devastating. So I would highly recommend a 30-day quarantine is my minimum I ever recommend. I know I'm going to get hate for that because people say, oh, you know, 7 days is fine. And I get it, and that's fine. And you'll get lucky and it'll work, right? It's going to take that one time where it doesn't work and you're going to pay the price, and then you're going to say, well, maybe that guy wasn't so crazy. 90 days extreme, 100% extreme, 100% extreme. I get it. All the hate I get for my 90-day quarantines, that's fine. I really don't care. And one thing I notice on YouTube now, which is awesome, is I'm starting to get more hate. And you would say, why is that awesome? Well, that means I'm actually getting my message out, and it's a little different than what the industry says or what the internet says, and that's fine. And this is 35 years of me testing stuff. I'm not just guessing and throwing stuff against the wall and hoping it sticks. If it works, I go with it, all right? If it doesn't work, I adjust. And that's just the way it is in my room, and your room can be however you want, or your tank can be however you want. So the hate is actually a good thing. It just means I'm ruffling some people's feathers because everything's done a certain way, and that's awesome. So that's the thing with this YouTube, is I do get a lot of hate. I'm getting more and more, and I really don't respond to it in a negative way. I just say thanks for your feedback. Now, if I keep getting that hate over and over again, what people don't realize on YouTube is you can just push a button and they can go into La La Land and they can keep commenting on your video and you'll never see it, or anyone will ever see it. So there's probably people out there giving hate all day long and their comments are just going into space. So be careful when you comment on someone's video, and just be kind of respectful and understand making videos is not easy. It's a hard process, especially as you get more videos, because you're always trying to improve. Alright, I'm not going to make this the long part, but what's one of the worst places you can buy discus? Something fishy. Oh my gosh. If I have to hear one more story about my fish is sick and I don't know why, and I can't, it doesn't want to eat, and it doesn't look right, and then my first question back always is, did you buy it from Something Fishy? And I am shocked that 8 out of 10 times it's, yeah, how did you know that? The reason I know that is because I know that company, and I know that it's about numbers and they really don't care about the fish. And well, I shouldn't say they don't care about fish. I don't know that, but I know they buy the bee fish for really cheap, because you got to figure, when a breeder breeds fish, whether it's in Asia or the United States, whatever, when he breeds fish, there's going to be different levels of fish. There's an A, B, C, basically, and the C's are usually the culls, so C, cull. But the B's, they can't sell those really as top discus, right? It's the A's. Now you got the A+, A++, A+++. Now those are usually, what people don't understand about that as far as breeders, is those usually become future breeders, right? We don't sell those top fish off that are just gorgeous and they have some characteristic that we want, whether it's fin shape, body size, body shape, eye color, you know, anything unique. And those are what we call the AAA, and those stay in our room and become breeders, right? So we sell off the A fish, which are still really nice fish, and sometimes it's hard to get rid of those fish, but when you got 158 fish, you know, you got to pick 5 or 6 of those to pull back and use as future breeders, because you want to keep that line going. And then usually what happens is that I pick the top 2 or 3 of those and then sell the other ones off for a lot of money. But the bee discus kind of sit in your room, and you really can't sell those for top dollar. And anytime you're going to sell them, I mean, they're still good fish, but to the standard, they're not perfectly round, or their eye size is a little big, or, you know, they got a chip in a fin, or their eyes aren't exactly right. You know, they're good fish, but they're just not top selling fish to make a good profit on. So usually what happens with those fish is we sell those fish off to a store or a wholesaler at almost, I mean, the pricing is insane, like a couple dollars a fish, and understand we're telling that person, hey, these are not top grade discus, right? So that's what you're getting at Something Fishy, is you're getting those B grade, and I've even seen the C grade where I'm like, oh my gosh, that thing's a football and it's missing an eye, and you know, the finnage is wrong. So don't ever buy your discus from Something Fishy. The pricing is going to look amazing. You're going to be thinking, whoa, I get like all these fish for this. Trust me, you will pay the price, you will throw your money away, those fish will die, and you will have to spend so much on medication that will probably not work, because they're just not healthy fish. So there's other places too, but that one, to me, when you get 8 out of 10 people that tell you their fish is sick, what do I do? And you ask them, hey, you know, did you get your fish from some, I don't even ask where they get them from. I just say, did you get your fish from Something Fishy? And they are like amazed at, how did you know that? Because it happens over and over and over again, right? So do not buy your fish there, please, 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 please. You will just be throwing your money in the trash. There's a reason why those fish are so cheap. Rant over. So the next question, what do I look for when I buy my discus at the local shop? Now I want to talk about my local shop. I'm lucky. I probably have one of the best shops in the United States, and I don't say that lightly. I know the owner very well. I know he cares about the business. I know he's always searching for some of the rarest fish. I know that his fish are healthy, and I also know that he stands behind his products, his fish, everything. So to me, that's the ultimate business, quality, but stands behind that quality 100%, right? So it's the waterfrontslc.com, and they're here locally. They're about 35 minutes from me in Murray, Utah. You can go online and you can look at his fish. They're insane, every single one of them. He does have discus. When I go into a store, I'm always kind of checking every tank, because every now and then there's a little gem hiding in the corner, a wild fish. Right now I think he has a pretty nice big discus right now, so you might want to go look at his website, thewaterfrontslc.com. Just amazing, amazing, amazing fish. I'm so lucky to have him locally. And here's the thing, is we've been trying to work out a deal where I'm going to start taking my fish to him to sell. And really what I want to do is I want to breed the fish. That's something that I really, really enjoy, and then kind of sell them off wholesale. For me, that's something that you guys can benefit from. Now when I sell them to Lewis Wholesale, I'm going to really try to concentrate on keeping that price as low as possible, so he can put them on his website, and then you guys can purchase those from him at hopefully a really fair price that you'll consider, but everything will be top quality. That's one thing I gotta say, is I'm really lucky to have that store local, and he has some I just seen a platinum, I believe, platinum? I don't know. Arapaima, I think it was. I'm like, what the heck? How the heck do you get that fish? But whatever, it's insane. So go check that website out. You'll be amazed what's on there, and there are discus on there that he'll ship to you. So what do I look for? First thing I look for when I go to a tank is I want to see a little reaction. Now sometimes, like, these fish just came in and they're going to be a little sketchy, right? They're not going to show that. So sometimes I'll ask, hey, how long have these fish been here? If he says like 24 hours, I know that is not going to be, but they're already reacting to me after 3 days. But I just know that fish is not going to be coming up to the tank, right? Or coming up to me to be curious. So that's one thing, that's the first thing I want to know, is that fish curious. Second thing I look for is shape. Okay, for me, shape over color, right? Color comes second. So basically what I'm looking for is I want, obviously, a good shape. It doesn't have to be perfectly round. And, you know, we're looking for that nose roundness, right? I don't want a big point or a football coming in, because I probably will not be able to breed that fish and have success breeding that fish. So I look for that, and then I look for eye color or eye size. So it's the shape, and then I look at their eyes, okay? I want to make sure there's no chips in the eyes, because a lot of inbreeding on discus, if you look, they'll get a little chip in their eye, right? And that happens once you get to a certain point of inbreeding, is they start affecting their eyes. I look for eye size, because another thing happens from inbreeding is you'll get different sized eyes. You'll get one smaller and one bigger. So the eyes are very important. And then I look at their finnage, right? Okay, so now we're at this part of the video where most people are left and just do hardcores are here. You know, my people that know, like, and trust me, hopefully, are still watching this video. So I want to talk about a couple products that are sold on my website. And you guys cleaned me out of my blackworms with the vitamin. So I had to take that down, because at $9, at about 20 sales, that starts to add up really quick. So I had to take that down as far as the vitamins. It's still on my website, I just can't do it for free anymore. So one thing I did do is I noticed people are contacting me about the bell. One thing about the bell is it works best if you put blackworms or brine shrimp cubes in it first, and then put the optimal growth on top. So I got people buying just the optimal growth to put in tanks. I got people buying the bell and not buying anything else. It still works great. I mean, if you're feeding smaller fish, and a lot of them, it's an amazing product. But if you're feeding a tank of discus, you really need to put that blackworm in. It was designed to have that blackworm first, compacted down, and then the optimal growth on top. So what I've done is I've actually added the blackworms in with the Sheller Bell and the optimal growth. So with that, obviously cost goes up. And so it's at, now it was $17, almost $18. Now it's at $24.99. But what I've done is I've knocked off $5 because I want you guys to try it with the blackworms. So it's $19.99. It's like $2 extra for the blackworms. I think I'm into the blackworms like $5 or $6. Reason why I can do that is because I make the Sheller Bell. So basically it's my labor that's taking a hit. I still figure the blackworm is being paid for, and then my labor, and I'm fine with that because I got to get that product out because it's amazing. All right, so I talked to you about the waterfront, and about a year ago I made a video on their store. So obviously it's upgraded a lot since then, but if you want to check out that video and see the store, check out this video here. It is the waterfront's my local store. And if you're interested in buying some discus, I believe I saw this morning they do have discus for sale, and my discus will be there shortly.